Yeah, you're not wrong. And to be fair, again, that glide does allow you to still basically go for a true ultimate combo, even if you draw... apologies, even if you draw Il'gynoth, even if you draw the Moargs, you can play your Kurtrus and then just shuffle them back in and see if you can draw them again for the discounted mana cost. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out for CaelesLuna.
With the Luna Moth logo, or image, picture, whatever you want to call it in the background there, which is so much better. It no longer looks like he's been thrown in jail, and actually now is a superb background. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's pretty funky. Ooh, okay. We got a decent starting hand. I'm having to reacquaint myself with how this Quest Demon Hunter works, because I've kind of already pushed it aside to make room for the new archetypes that are coming into the game. But this is pretty close to the dream start, right? He gets quest completion next turn. He won't even have to go for the swing. Apologies, to complete it necessarily, which is not always what you want to do if you can afford to go for a different route.
So we're drawing cards, completing quests, and making cards cheap. That's about all I can remember, like you said. And TJ was saying it earlier as well. Like, the second a deck is no longer relevant, all of the little factoids that my brain stores just vanish instantly to make room for even more irrelevant factoids about numbers that get you out of jail in anime shows. But yeah, CaelesLuna is happy to wait here. Might have to I-beam something here just to slow down the beating process, because there isn't that much reload available for Shamans.
Yeah.
And she has plenty of time.
And I think this is one of the things that I've realized about the new OTK Quest Demon Hunter is, although previously you were kind of hesitant to draw your complete your quest without getting any combo pieces, you know, if you got a hand like this where you're just discounting card draw, maybe a removal piece, it's not good, because you want to get combo pieces only so that you can draw through to your quest. Now you just want to do it as quick as humanly possible, because Kurtrus really becomes your win condition when there's Glide in your deck as well. And so for CaelesLuna, I'm 100% on board here of just drawing as quickly as he possibly can through his deck, and then worrying about the consequences of getting the combo later on.
Yeah, and something that isn't happening that we thought might. He's missed a lot of the combo pieces getting reduced here, so this is where the 6-mana Il'gynoth could become pretty grim. And yeah, he's decided to reduce this, right? Otherwise, it was going to be a nightmare. But now that's going to help a bit at least.
Yeah, this isn't bad, right? 1-mana Artificer plus a way to copy it does allow him to get a pretty decent amount of the combo down. It's still a 6-mana Il'gynoth. We're still looking at like 9 or 10 mana minimum, even factoring in these discounts for a true OTK. But again, as we were saying, Kurtrus is where things really kick off. And with an extra acrobatics in hand, should the cards keep falling in his favor, this is potentially another quest completion here on turn 5.
On 23 health and has assembled, I mean, he hasn't assembled much of the combo relative to where you often are at this point, but plenty of time still to do so. Can play both.
Yeah, you just play both of those, right? I was going to say acrobatics, but that is like the perfect 2 cards to clear the board and keep drawing through. It's a second spell damage off the second Arcanist, which is far from ideal. But just being able to, again, keep turboing through your deck with all the artifices still in there and the Guild Trader, most importantly, the combo is still very much alive for CaelesLuna.
Yep, 10 cards left. Kurtrus coming down next turn. 30 health against Shaman, which, let's just have a quick look to make sure there's no overdrafts. There are 2 overdrafts, so it's a little bit more of a clock than you would expect, but it's only fractional, really. But you can be surprised by that.
Wow, Windfury.
Oh!
I was kind of expecting tiny toys and just stop the chain there, but clearly DreadEye wants to milk more value out of this, and he gets a couple of good spells off of it. Investment opportunity is huge. All of these are just in the deck. They're not bad cards at all.
Yeah, tiny toys with Revolve in hand is very tempting, but he felt it was too slow, possibly?
Yeah.
He is only 2 or 3 turns from death. I mean, yeah, 9 cards left. You've got to expect CaelesLuna to be able to do his thing very soon.
My revenge, it all ends here.
I mean, it just depends how the draw comes in. If we're looking at 4-mana Il'gynoth, then all of a sudden the draw or the lethal becomes very possible. I wonder if I was maybe underestimating the potential of this deck. I mean, again, CaelesLuna got pretty close to the nuts. He got every card draw option at the top of his deck with, you know, the Sigil, the Weapon, double Spectral Sight, and Acrobatics as well. But at the same time, again, I think he played it spectacularly by completely ignoring what he drew, not caring what was discounted, and just churning through to get Kurtrus as quick as possible.
No littering!
Right. Well, DreadEye, talking of churning through to get things as quickly as possible, is also trying to do that, but miles behind in terms of completing the quest. Still 2 more to go. And then you've got to play the Broken, and then you've got to actually do something with it, none of which looks like happening anytime soon.
Right. And so now the only problem for CaelesLuna becomes staying alive whilst also drawing through, which is probably not too much of a concern. It's just any of the tricky plays that can come in, like maybe there's another Wind Fury, for example, that could catch you off guard. But CaelesLuna still here, very happily taking care of all of that. 3 Moargs in hand, with the potential for a 4th, 3 of which would be at 1 mana. The combo's looking very doable.
Guild Trader only costs 2, that's relevant here.
And it's going to cost 0 after you trade it in. Again, the weird interaction between trading, it keeps its enchantments. If it's been made to cost 2 less, it will keep that 2 cost and then cost 0 next time you draw it, which is huge.
Yep, that was why he was able to just waste all the other spell damage, because he's perfectly fine here on 30. We do need to keep a small eye on it if Il'gynoth is the bottom card, because the Shaman can accumulate some pretty monstrous combo turns, but it isn't looking at the moment like DreadEye is going to be able to assemble anything like enough damage.
I just can't even believe what I'm seeing. Il'gynoth costs 6 mana, and it's still just looking like it's going to be a combo on turn 8. Like, this is a little bit slow compared to what it could have been pre-nerf.
There it is!
But it's just... I mean, it's not quite lethal. It's 24 damage as I count it.
Yeah, because he can't reduce a 0. He doesn't have a 0 Moarg to reduce, or it would be...
Yeah. He's got 3 doubled 3 times, up to 24.
Demons? Demons.
I don't think you're going with the glide here. Not really necessary.
Any gliders in chat? Yeah.
Skull will do it. That'll draw you through
Skull
to
will
it.
do it.
As you say, Star Student Stelina, maybe if you're afraid of something as well. It's just the one thing that can possibly go wrong with both Snake, Guild Trader, and the Persistent Peddler as well. There's the potential that you can just keep trading back and forth and always miss the card you want in the Guild Trader.
Yeah.
But it's very, very unlikely to happen. So I think this is a reasonable choice from CaelesLuna to just lock out any chance of DreadEye swinging back.
Yeah, even pre-nerf, this version was much quicker, you know, infinitely quicker than the original version of OTK Demon Hunter, which is what made it so scary. But it just had this weird sort of 5 to 10% fail rate where Il'gynoth just never got found as the traders just kept trading into each other.
So CaelesLuna obviously was aware of the Wind Fury after he saw it in his opponent's hand from the Stelina. Didn't even deem it worthy to shuffle back in, which, yeah, there's nothing that's threatening enough for the Wind Fury to represent lethal.
Yeah, he'll know also that DreadEye will have assembled a little bit of damage. Probably expecting a lightning bolt or 2 to be in there. As it happens, it's a portal, but you know, you tend to assume lightning bolt because that's the worst thing it could be.
And here for CaelesLuna, it pretty much has to be lethal, right? It's Glide as the one card he did draw, and is it just lethal with 4 Moargs?
Yeah, it's just super Moarg lethal now. Yeah, it was only like 1 mana off last turn to get the 3rd Moarg, maybe 2 off. I stopped when I hit the right number of mana. But yeah, now it's just super lethal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was just tunnel visioning on the guild trader, whereas here it's a straight up 48 damage OTK. DreadEye can't believe it, and to be honest, neither could I. It's bad for DreadEye, but it's worse for me. I have to admit that Meaty was maybe correct. This is the worst day of my life, as I was mocking Meaty for saying that Demon Hunter is still a tier 1 archetype. I won't go that far necessarily, but CaelesLuna has clearly demonstrated it's a very playable archetype.
It's fine. The best thing about mocking Meaty is you don't have to be right as long as you get to mock Meaty.
So true.
It doesn't matter who's right. Nobody wins the discussion. You just have to be right. But Meaty's not an America's player, and CaelesLuna is, and we're going to get to see that deck again. So, Derek, knowing what you now know, what are you going to queue into it?
I'm thinking that Druid is looking pretty spicy at the moment. It's the full-on Celestial Alignment version, but to be honest, any version of Druid in the metagame at the moment, be it the I don't know, the Jambray Anacondra that runs Glowflies, the Arbor Ups, all that kind of mid-range package to swarm the board. That'll get the job done with or without Celestial Alignments. The full Celestial Alignment version, as we're seeing here, I think does fantastically against Demon Hunter because, you know, if you are very reliant on playing the Kurtrus to get there, before your opponent plays the Kurtrus, before they even complete the quest, jam that Celestial Alignment, they're never getting up to 5 mana again. You dominate the board, they just crumble. It's an overwhelmingly favored matchup for Druid, in my opinion.
Yeah, just get to 7 and have it in hand, and the rest looks after itself. This one plays Omu as opposed to, I was going to say as opposed to Anaconda, as alongside Anaconda.
Yeah.
And the whole point is, after you play the alignment, I'm going to exaggerate slightly, but all of your cards give you mana to play your cards with. Everything, you know, Anaconda makes your Nourishers and your Innovate, your Lightning Blooms work, and Omu is just another way of cheating mana. And then you just do what you like. You just make nonsense. Cenarian Ward's the card that is basically the closer, and if somebody's clever and removes all your stuff, you just win with Cthulhu. It's a lovely deck, and I've really enjoyed playing it actually over the last few days.
Very nice deck, I agree. I think it's a lot of fun to get to learn the intricacies, the common patterns that you see. It's a deck with relatively limited discovery, so you're going to see a lot of similar situations a lot of the time with this deck, and it's fun to learn all those different intricacies. But a brilliant start here for DreadEye, discovering Fungal Fortunes. Absolutely agree that is the pick instead of Overgrowth. You know, assuming you're drawing the Celestial Alignment, you only need to be able to ramp to 7. You don't need to be able to go any further than that. And with a Fungal Fortunes plus like 3 natural draws before he gets to the 7 mana cost, I think it's looking likely for DreadEye to find that Celestial Alignment.
Yeah, this is a weird build as well, but because he plays the Omu as well, so he's got quite a few minions, he doesn't run natural Fungal Fortunes in it. So picking up a Fungal Fortunes is kind of useful, strangely enough, because he doesn't have any in his deck, so that card draw is slightly lacking compared to other people, which, you know, presumably he factored that in when he built the deck. Well, Nature Studies will find me them often enough anyway, plus I don't really want it half the time because I don't want to throw my cards away. But he wants it here because he wants to dig for the alignment.
It's a shame for CaelesLuna that today I watched, while casting Hearthstone, a man ram a baguette through his own face. Because if I hadn't seen that, this would easily be the most entertaining player cam I'd seen today.
CaelesLuna is always in the top few player cams every single week since we've known him. And in fairness, I think a lot of the Americas players have put on, you know, good shows for us in recent times.
Well, I got baited by the animations there. I thought that the Anaconda had been overdrawn by the Fungal Fortunes, but it was, of course, from the Guess the Weight, which is premium. This hand is the absolute nuts now for DreadEye. Unless CaelesLuna can miraculously complete both ticks of the quest and get Kurtrus in hand on this turn, I just don't think he is ever going to be able to play Kurtrus, which is... You know, it's not signing your death warrant, but the difference between playing Kurtrus and then being hit with Celestial Alignment or the other way around is just worlds apart, because then your deck costs 0 instead of 1 and you actually have a chance. Here, though, I just don't see it happening. CaelesLuna emoting. I think he knows that the alignment's coming, and with that, probably the end of the game.
I just thought of something. You could play this deck very differently, and I'm sure there's many reasons why this is really dumb. But what if you didn't do any of the quest things at all until the alignment was played? And they just reduce.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that like it's not a bad idea, but on average, you're better to try and turbo your quest as quickly as possible and pray they don't draw the alignment, because then I think just playing Kurtrus can actually be a valid win condition. You know, you can get if you hit all your card draw, you can just play Moarg, as many Artificers as you want, as many, and the Il'gynoth, all for 0 mana. But in this instance, it's not happening because DreadEye just has all the mana in the world. I think he's even going Solar Eclipse and then Nourish to gain 6 mana crystals and then Malagos. It's over.
Yep. I guess he would like to hit an Auctioneer here in the world where something terrible is about to happen. I can't think of what that world is, but yeah. It is indeed over. I'm trying to say it's not over without saying it's over.
Oh, I'll say it's over. I think CaelesLuna just conceded, so that one is just going to be wrapped up. He knows. You can see the animations on it. Oh, the Taintheart Torment. That is literally over. There is nothing that the deck can do. I don't think you can play a card once that comes down. So very well played to DreadEye. This is why I like bringing Druid, even though it is a little bit vulnerable to the Face Hunters, to the Shadow Priests in particular. It has such dominant matchups against Warlock, Demon Hunter, and Mage that I think it's worth a slot.
Weirdly, though, and I think we will see this next, it doesn't have a very good matchup in what I'm going to call the Mirror, just to confuse everybody entirely, against the Glowfly version of the deck.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, this is what we're seeing queued now. It's basically got the same cards in it, except the person with the Glowflies has some threats and doesn't have to mess around. It has all the answers to the alignment already built in. Plus, if your opponent plays the alignment, and DreadEye kind of has to, because that's how he wins, CaelesLuna automatically has all the mana cards that help him get going as well. So really difficult for DreadEye here, and I'd be very interested to see how he chooses to approach it.
I think you're absolutely bang on there. It's the rough rule of thumb in a Druid mirror where both decks run alignment. The rule of thumb is you never play alignment. That's the first thing you learn when playing these matchups, is you just don't do it because your opponent gets initiative, they get the first turn of 1 mana cards, and then they play Anacondra and just win. It gets a little bit more complicated when there's a difference in overall archetypes, because as you said, if both players are just tempoing out, CaelesLuna probably wins. And so then DreadEye can go for the just Hail Mary, play out the Celestial Alignment and hope that his hand is better on the backswing. But it'll be very interesting to see. There's a lot more into it than that. You can even go for the Anacondra plus Celestial Alignment on the same turn if you get to 10 mana and have Bloom plus Innovate. But that gets pretty in-depth. We'll get to that when it comes to it. For the most part now, it's just going to be a straight-up tempo matchup with the cards they have in deck at full mana cost.
And look what CaelesLuna has available to him right now. Fungal into some sort of buff overgrowth into Glowflies is one option. If there's buffs coming now, then it could just be immediate Glowflies. But yeah, it's going to be Innovate into Overgrowth next turn, and then Glowflies the turn after that. And then it'll be game 4.
I mean, at the same time, DreadEye does have a strong ramp hand. If he can go Overgrowth this turn, and then Guess the Weight next turn, he has 3 shots at drawing Heart of Cthulhu, right, in order to just clear the board, which would be the absolute nuts. Outside of that, he can just go for his own development if he's able to draw a way to go Solar Cenarian on the same turn. Maybe he can make it work.
Next turn he can. He just picked up all the bits. Oh.
I mean, that could be enough. Again, if you hit Taintheart Torment, anything else with a lot of health, and you could be able to swing the board back.
CaelesLuna like, yeah, what are you going to do? You got the heart for this?
Very nice. Yeah, looking for the Arbor up, didn't find it, so not immediate lethal quite yet. We'll just have to make do with drawing through the rest of his deck. It's not bad, but it's not Arbor up.
It's not Arbor up. There's a lot of outs for it to become good, but there's also some outs for DreadEye to just put this out of sight if this rolls high on this scenario ward twice.
Taunts, Grom, anything with Rush. Not that.
Oh, that gets big!
That does get big. Okay, anything else that can be played on this turn? You'll take the fungal.
Sounds like a bad American arrest.
Interesting. So you probably just end up going Luna Cenarian Ward, as I'm seeing it, to kill off the Arcane Devourer, which is kind of a necessity, and then develop some tempo of your own. But again, CaelesLuna just digging for that Arbor up.
Yeah, just not finding it, down to 13 cards in the deck, so just going to have to take care of this. And the good news for CaelesLuna is next turn he can, apart from Arbor up, apparently, he can basically do whatever he likes. Because DreadEye is temporarily at least out of stuff.
Okay, this way allows him to fully clear the board. I was looking at holding on to the other Solar Eclipse rather than going Solar Luna, and just go for the Lunar Eclipse. But DreadEye just got triple minion. CaelesLuna, you are a cruel, cruel man. Laughing at his pain.
Because DreadEye doesn't run fungal in his deck for that reason. And then finds one and it does it to him.
Oh my god, you're actually right, because he's playing Omu. He's got a higher minion density in his deck.
Yeah. Yeah, he just doesn't.
Oh my god. Get out of here. I don't even know if that's lethal, because it's, what, 44 health he has to get through, but it's so much damage.
It's one off with the hero power, I think. I mean, you say right as if I know what I'm talking about. I think it's one off with the hero.
No, you're bang on. Well, I mean, for DreadEye, yes, this is a disastrous outcome, but it's the expected outcome, right? As you were laying out at the start, it is a bad matchup. It's a pretty miraculous way to lose, but in a way, I would almost rather this happen, because I can be like, oh, well, what was I meant to do? You know, I just got absolutely screwed by my deck, which is undeniably true, as you can tell by CaelesLuna in absolute fits of laughter as we move on to Game 4.
Yeah, this game has amused him greatly. And something I like about watching CaelesLuna play is he actually enjoys every moment of the aired games, whether he's under massive pressure, like in the Masters Tour when he needed one win to guarantee getting here, or whether it's in the Grandmasters itself where he gets another chance. He just seems to love A, playing Hearthstone, and B, just putting on a show for us all.
And that's what we love to see. The players have been getting more and more entertaining across all the regions, I will say, as they get more comfortable in Grandmasters, which is what we want to see. But it means now the counter queue available to DreadEye. It's only one archetype left, right? So he just has to make do with what he got. And what he got is Warlock. Not the D6 Warlock, it is the Handlock that he has available left. Delete Warlock, whatever you want to call it. A slightly neutered version, I will say, compared to most of the lists I've seen. He's not running Goldshy and Null, but he is running a Netheron, which is a huge, huge difference. You have answers to these Glowfly swarms early on, that's fine. It's not like they're going to blow you out of the game like we saw here. What you don't necessarily have answers for is those huge Anaconda turns where they buff the entire board, play Soul of the Forest, no way that you can possibly chew through it, even with 2 Soul Rens if they were available. And so because of that, you need to be proactive. You need to get a Netheron down, Flesh Giant down, Battle Master them to just kill them at the start of the game. And so make no mistake, while there's plenty of removal in this deck, DreadEye's playing the aggro.
Yeah, and I think he's favoured. I don't think he's massively favoured, but I think that this is where the Druid really wishes it did have the Cthulhu and the Auctioneer thrown in there, which makes that into a much more close matchup, I think. But with only a couple of waves of Glowflies and the Anaconda nonsense. The Anaconda nonsense can be anything on its day. Don't get me wrong here, but I do feel it's like half a turn too slow for the power of the Warlock. But we shall see. I think Druid is always hard to judge the exact percentages in matchups, just because it's so reliant on the ramp.
Yeah, which it has got here with Wild Growth. Probably into Fungal Fortunes and then Glowfly. I don't think you're going to let yourself be happy with a 5-minion Glowfly, or even a 4-minion Glowfly, as it might be.
With Arbor up in hand and against Warlock, it was really, really tempting.
Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess with this way as well, going for the Fungal Fortunes first, you can hit Innovate. So I do like this line more instead of starting off with the Wild Growth, because you may get a 7-minion Glowfly on that same turn.
Yeah, and CaelesLuna obviously knows the matchup better than me, and he just seems to be going for maximum amount of ramp, because there's obviously the chance there as well off that fungal to just hit Overgrowth and get out of sight. Play a Celestial and try and shut down the Warlock that way was another option available.
And interestingly enough, the big option available now is Celestial Alignment. It's going to be a big turning point in the matchup, because in a way, it seems great as a time to go for it. You have a decent bit of card draw in hand. You have that development with Glowfly and Arbor up. But your opponent can then play 1-mana Giant, 1-mana Baron Scavenger, 1-mana Anetheron. They only have one Battlegrounds Battlemaster in the deck to take advantage of that, but that could still be very scary.
I think going this way, CaelesLuna says, if I draw Anaconda, I just win. And if I don't, I just lose. It's kind of eggs in one basket to some degree. But there is a chance to bail on that and go for, you know, buy some time with Glowflies and stuff first, which will give him time to have 3 or 4 shots along with Fungals to try and... Oh, you can't Fungal into Anaconda, Neil. Don't do that one. But to nourish into some Anacondas.
Yes, no, it's
on the card.
It's still valuable as a card draw effect. I agree. Ooh, it's a 6-mana card, but it's not the one he was looking for.
It's sort of plan B with the Glowflies, which I thought was plan A.
Yeah, we don't know what that card he didn't draw was, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's something that costs 6 or more, because you're probably guessing less on that second option of Guess the Weight. So it could be Anaconda, for all we know.
Anaconda, Scenarian Ward, and Celestial. That's about it, I think.
Well, the big thing, though, for DreadEye is that with all these Glowflies on board, he gets a massive Soul Rend. He's deleting some pretty valuable cards. The Battlemaster going is huge as well, as there is only one of those in the list. But the main thing is a 1-mana Scavenger swinging that board control in his favor is so big. Now the pressure is on CaelesLuna. He can't just develop stats because he's dying very quickly.
Yes, that's all I got is yes.
Yes.
Take your chance. Give yourself a hand size that can take 3 cards and try and find an Anaconda. Is one play here, and he's actually thinking of Celestial Alignmenting this, which is terrifying.
It's scary, but you're not dead. You know essentially for a fact that you're not dead because the one Battlemaster was burned, which is crucial information. And so because of that, I agree. Pray that the next card is Anaconda. Even if it isn't, you can go Nourish Ramp, Nourish Straw. Like, you have a few chances to find it.
Sure. If you find it, just to be clear here, obviously then all your germinations get reduced, you get 3 Anacondas, then everything costs nothing. Well, everything costs nothing immediately anyway. And you drill through the deck most likely with Fungal, because you're not scared of discarding Anaconda anymore. And then you find Solar Eclipses and Cenarian Wards, and you gain 1,000,000 health and put 8/8s on the board, and the game just folds up, and DreadEye gets upset.
Love this use of the backfire as well. He had a decent chance to hit the second Flesh Giant, nails it off the top, and the fun interaction where it costs 1, but then the effect of the Flesh Giant is still applied. Costs 0, a tremendous amount of pressure against this Druid in a matchup that can be very scary for the Warlock. CaelesLuna has one final turn to make the ultimate swing to get back in the game.
Yeah, and it's interesting now, because he's picked up the Lunar Eclipse, he might not need to get mana off one of the Nourishers, because... Oh, he will need to get mana off one of the Nourishers, unless the first one's insanely good, which it is, with the Lightning Bloom.
Oh,
And now we can draw 3 more cards.
Yeah, got to draw 3 more. You've just got to find that Anaconda. That is the missing link with this hand.
Not there. No way to get the Solar Eclipse or Scenario Ward because didn't get the Anaconda. If he'd found the Anaconda, that was it. That was over. But gives it up. 2-2.
Rough game for CaelesLuna. Very, very rough one. I think that obviously DreadEye played that very well. The one thing I would have considered doing differently is going like double Raise Dead instead of playing the coin to get down the Flesh Giant 1 turn earlier. But aside from that, he clearly knew exactly what he was doing in the matchup in terms of just tempoing out threats as quickly as he possibly could. CaelesLuna, again, you could argue that it should have been an earlier play of the Celestial alignment, but other than that, I think that his play was pretty spot on.
So, Derek, what's your D6 Warlock like? How much of a fiesta will this be? I assume yours is pretty good.
It's okay. I've mainly been playing the handlock version, to be honest. D6 is a little bit mentally draining, to be perfectly honest, for my liking. Like, I think it's a very, very cool deck, and I love watching it played. I love playing it as well. But for these long play sessions, it's a lot to be doing. You know, all these actions you have to play so quickly. It's not the somewhat more relaxed experience that I like when laddering on Hearthstone. But against the list that DreadEye has got of this handlock, I do think that CaelesLuna should be in a very good position. You obviously have to draw the combo pieces. You have to find the Mithril Rod. Well, not so much the Mithril Rod, I suppose, in this matchup, but the free admission is absolutely crucial, of course. But generally, if you find the combo, you beat the handlock before they get their big minions down every time.
And it's weird to see a Warlock mirror. I'm just looking at the board going, what are these cards? I don't remember watching these cards apart from on streams. But yeah, let's see how this goes down. CaelesLuna, not with a particularly bad opening hand, but they change quickly with the amount of card drawing there, of course.
Ooh, I was going to say both players with a bad starting hand, but DreadEye's, you know, considering how this deck usually plays, is about as good as you can expect, actually, to be honest. Yeah,
the weapon into backfire going to reduce so much, and of course that's so necessary against a deck that's going to try and combo you pretty early on, as CaelesLuna does pick up the hand, which makes all the difference to his opener as well now.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it allows him to have a do-over on this hand and try and draw through to that free admission. But even now, you know, using a big card draw effect like the Hand of Gul'dan without a cheap Stealer of Souls in your hand, it's not exactly what you want, right? It's a little bit vulnerable to just this pressure from his opponent. Because while CaelesLuna has the ability to kill a Flesh Giant, does he have the ability to kill 2, maybe even 3 more after that, depending on how these Raise Deads go.
But never mind, because
there we go.
Mission.
There we go.
There is some navigating to do here because if he plays the free admission, he'll be up to 10 cards, I believe.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a little bit of a pain, but there's nothing to target with the Mortal Coil to sort of dump it. Or anything. Nothing to target with anything to dump it. So maybe he'll play a minion now just to get it out of his hand.
Oh, really? Don't you just want to let it rip? Like, one overdraw? You know, if you overdraw backfire exactly, you're sad, but, I mean, pretty much everything else, I think I'm fine with just letting the overdraw go. But in the end, targeting his own face with Demonic Assault is a very, very cute play.
Yeah, actually somebody, I mentioned this yesterday, I think. Somebody Demonic Assaulted me yesterday on one of my minions. I was like, oh, I didn't know that could go anywhere but my opponent's face, because I've only watched really good players playing this, and they all sort of end up using it mid-combo to shoot themselves in the face. Something extra it did do here, though, was put targets on the board for a lot of his other spells if DreadEye didn't play a minion.
True. Yeah, that's true. All right, with that Manari Mosha picked up, is that a guarantee now on hitting a Stealer of Souls? Because he's only running one Manari Mosha. Oh, no, not quite. It could still have been Nightshade plus second
Glare.
Second Dark Glare, yeah, as you say. But he does manage to hit it. Just needs a piece of card draw now. And CaelesLuna is looking pretty good in this game.
Yeah, DreadEye does have the Battlemaster though, so this could end fast if CaelesLuna doesn't end it faster.
One way or the other, it's over very soon. Another raised dead as well. Nothing's died as of yet, but that is looking to be pretty premium as a full cost in Etheron. I guess. I mean, it does mean that you have to... I mean, you're going to have to send the Giant into this no matter what, right? He doesn't actually have any targeting spells to get rid of the Voidwalker, which is an incredible amount of damage this measly Taunt is eating.
Yeah, this is kind of it. CaelesLuna can tidy up the board, and may have to, but like you've mentioned, with only the one Battlemaster, things are a little bit more easy to deal with if you just take time to deal with this. You haven't got to face it again next turn, and then you start running out of resources.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I think he's past the point where he can even attempt any sort of combo, so this is a control turn.
Oh yeah. No, I mean you don't even have hand space, I don't think, to make the combo work on this turn. You did want to go in. So obviously double School Spirits is your first thought process here. But holding on to one of them instead, opting to draw more cards through his deck. Okay, this makes sense. Achieves a similar result, but draws an extra card.
And he is nicely set up for next turn, if my understanding is even close to correct now. Everything is there.
Oh yeah. CaelesLuna absolutely popping off. DreadEye misses on the Flesh Giant with his first raised dead, which is pretty disastrous. He needs to hit one here. And he misses again!
Oh my.
Hello? That's a disaster. Tap a Netheron? I guess that's all you've got in terms of pressure. Yuck.
Yeah. And hope that putting your opponent to 6 can do something.
That is
what's the
so
quest
unlucky.
on? Do we know what the quest is on anywhere?
For DreadEye, he just completed, I think it's at 2 on the last step. But don't hold me to that.
Yeah, so he can't do an extra 3 damage. There's my main concern there. So CaelesLuna just going when the fragments will allow him to.
Oh, absolutely time to go with the backfire as well. Dark Glare coming down, gaining a bunch of mana. It's purely APM at this point. This could be lethal on this turn if CaelesLuna, if the cards fall in the right order. And with another backfire, these cards are coming in the perfect order.
Yep. Just got to do the thing that I find really hard with this deck, which is to balance your health total along with the cards. But he's got the Mosha in this build, so it's a 7 demon build. And that's going to make this so much more like training wheels, if you like. That's not to be insulting to CaelesLuna, but somebody like me would love to have a Mosha at this point, just to not be messing around with my health. I can just cast everything, throw it all out there, and not overly worry about accidentally dying.
Well, that's level 2 done. Just needs to get the last one done and hopefully play Tamsin on this turn. It's definitely possible with all the mana that the Dark Glares are giving him. The health looks to be in a fine position as well. It's just about time. Will he have enough time to get through the quest, get through the animation, get Tamsin played? It's a monstrous difference of 5 mana on the following turn, but I think he was that little bit too slow.
I don't know what Ploop followed by the bow means, but he's definitely done a lot of it.
Oh, he got it!
He's done a lot of it.
Okay, big difference. I underestimated you, CaelesLuna. I apologize. It looked like you might have roped out on that one. But getting the Tamsin down, all of a sudden now, disastrous for DreadEye.
Yeah. Is the quest in the handlock version like 99% about giants these days?
I mean, it depends on the matchup, right? In the mirror, it very often comes down to fatigue, in which case it's your main win con. But yes, giant is the big bit.
Because even no matter how hard you try, yeah, sorry, Caeles, that's no longer a thing we can do, sadly.
Not anymore.
But it just seems like you never really get the chance to go off with the quest. Like you said, I can understand now you can get down to the fatigue in the mirror. Yeah, that makes some sense.
Well, here we go. A big heel turn. I think absolutely bang on for DreadEye. I was wondering if it would be double Soul Rend or Tamsin Soul Rend in order to draw through to the end of your deck and try and fatigue your opponent to death once you play your own Tamsin. But expecting yourself to die on the following turn is much more valid. Like, he knows that CaelesLuna is so likely to have the lethal on this turn. And whether or not it's actually lethal on this turn, which I think it might just be short with all the card draw having been played so far this game, it's a tremendous amount of damage. And it does mean that DreadEye will just be dead on the following turn, if not right now.
Yeah, it's one of those. Basically, because we're so far behind in animation, we really do just have to wait and see and make it up as we go along. Not for the normal caster reasons, where we're making it up as we go along anyway, but in genuine, well, we just can't see what he's drawn reasons on this particular deck.
So, I think, again, not entirely sure what quest completion is on, but tap Tamsin Backfire. You just never get lethal. If you can go tap, play both Tamsins, big and small, can you then ever get there with double unstable Shadow Bolt? It's not even close. Oh, and he's like 5 out of 8 anyway.
Can't make anything work because the low health total doesn't help anything here either. Okay. That's quite a lot.
Okay, killing off the Dark Glare instead. Oh, you only heal up to 5 with this play. Oh.
Yeah, it needs to be significantly more. At least I feel like it does. Well, it does, because we can see the assault. So that will be enough.
I think you just know you're dead with this play, because there's only one actual card left in the deck, right? If any. It's just all Soul Fragments, so tap into Demonic Assault that you know is in hand is going to end it. It was over most likely anyway for DreadEye, to be perfectly honest. And that's the way it goes. It's an unfortunate way for things to end up for him, but this is why D6 Warlock is often favored over the handlock variant, or at least in the mirror. It's just so tough to apply enough pressure to be able to kill the combo variant before they get their combo off. As we saw here from CaelesLuna, a well-played game. The APM up to scratch to be able to get down the vast majority of the combo in time.
Yeah, he looked very calm on it as well. Time to posture to some degree as well. So, yeah, good going from CaelesLuna. 2 weeks running now has beaten DreadEye in the quarterfinals. And as you mentioned in the tweet he sent out earlier, last week Muzzy stood in his way, but Muzzy's not around this week. Muzzy's been eliminated, so maybe it is the week of CaelesLuna. And with calm play like that, do you think anyone's going to leave up that Warlock again? That's the question. That isn't a dig at DreadEye. I'm all for actually leaving up this Warlock if you think your opponent might possibly fumble it. But that looks really, really clinical.
Yeah, agreed. It's easy to kind of not dismiss CaelesLuna's play, but downplay it because of the comic way that he displays himself on camera during the games. But I mean, that was just, as you said, absolutely clinical. He clearly understands all his decks to a very, very high degree. I didn't really disagree with any of the big plays along the way. Like with the Druid games, we could argue about the timing of Celestial Alignment, but I really don't think I'm confident enough with the deck to definitively say that it was a winnable matchup in the game that he did lose with his Druid. But overall, a very, very big win for CaelesLuna. Gets him up to now at least 6 points for the first couple of weeks, which is a very, very nice start. With that potential for that to build even further. That's a playoffs kind of start right there.
Absolutely, and I think he's shown playoffs kind of form right from the Masters Tours, where he's been putting in the 6 and 7 win tournaments you need to be regarded like with any sort of respect, consistently getting those results. But talking of consistent results, next up we have Monsanto and No Hand.